No, it was good. It was good. It was that one rec center, La Familia.
No.
Is that District 3? No, that's District 3. La Familia.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that's where I saw him. Yeah, he goes to all of those.
Hi there. I'm well, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You see my email?
Are these taken?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No, I'm glad somebody.
Of course.
It's freezing here.
Oh, a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I can sacrifice that for the front row. Good evening, everybody. We are at the Denver Police Department District 3 CAB meeting. And we're just going to hang out here in the front row, so hopefully the sound is perfect for us this evening. It may be the world's most boring stream, but I'll hang with you in the chat. If any of you can come up with a good drinking game, why don't you go ahead and present that now?
Are you going to film it?
I am going to film it. I'm actually going to live stream it. Yeah, it's a public meeting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
How do you access?
on YouTube.
Okay. Because she couldn't make it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's my own private channel, but she's just welcome to view it.
Well, what?
It's public.
What?
It's Regan Benson.
What is it?
R-E-G-A-N. It's my name. That's my first name. Last name is Benson. B-E-N-S-O-N.
Okay. And so, just first Google your name.
Yeah, she just can go to
Okay,
YouTube and enter
okay.
that, and she should be able to find my channel and watch it live. Yeah. How is everybody tonight? I have to wear this visor indoors. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I got some new glasses, and I'm having some glare issues with them, even though I paid for all the extra, stuff. But who do we got in the chat? Liberty Blair, how are you? Snarky, Deb, what's going on? Hey, Ricardo. Mark Jones. Well, thank you. I appreciate hearing that. We're going vertical tonight. Bokomo, what's happening? Oh, Russ. Long time no see. Hey, hope you're well. Thanks, Snarky. This will. Maybe it'll be informative. I got here too late. They had the horsies here earlier. Denver Mounted Patrol. They were loading them up as I got here. So I missed that. Were you here for the horses?
I got to see.
You got to see
Yeah,
them. What did they do? Just hang out outside?
Yeah, they were across the street,
Oh.
and I just got here, but I did get to pet them.
Cool. I like horsies. Oh my goodness. Oh, here comes Commander Bell. You guys, I'm gonna give you an update a little bit later on Inglewood. Oh my god. Get ready for this one. Here we go. Command staff, making the rounds, feeling out the room. I have no idea. I don't know if there's an agenda or what. These things are so ad hoc and unpredictable. Like, you don't know what they're about. But one thing's for sure, they really didn't like people coming to these meetings before Regan Benson, got arrested for recording in the lobby and for being in attendance at a CAB meeting in District 4 where other people attended online, and for some reason I got banned from the public meeting for quite some time. That wasn't until I sued him. The exit is right there. We will be in the front of the room this evening, as I usually enjoy being in the front row of everything. Joe, how are you? Always appreciate your commentary. Just some housekeeping. The mods are in charge of the chat. If you hijack the chat, you may or may not get a warning. They have full control of the chat. If you want to chew me out and call me every name in the book, just send me an email.
Thank you. Did everybody have a chance to see the horses before we started?
No, I did not.
Three of the greatest smells in the world: horses, babies, and puppies. I intentionally didn't wash my hand after I cut the horse.
Yeah, I wanted to, but.
Today we have a guest speaker, Ben Kinghorn, who's the director of the shelter services for Urban Peak. Little bio for Ben. Ben joined Urban Peak in 2014 as the shelter supervisor and was promoted to assistant director of the shelter services in 2022. He assumed his role as director of shelter services in the summer of 23. Ben currently oversees the shelter, drop-in center, and outreach programs located at the Spot downtown. Prior to Urban Peak, he worked at the RHY-funded youth shelter in Nashville, Tennessee, and was there for 8 years before moving back to Denver, one of my favorite cities, Ben. Ben received his master's degrees in human development counseling from Vanderbilt University. So, Ben, you want to come up here?
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Just realized I need to get that updated because part of the reason I'm here today is we have moved back down. Oh, take that. We have moved back down into the District 3 neighborhood. So, yeah. Thanks so much for the introduction. My name is Ben Kinghorn. Like my bio said, I've been with Urban Peak for 10 years, and for 8 of those years, we've been down on South Tacoma Street, which is right by South Broadway and Iowa Street, kind of by Herman's Hideaway for folks that know where that is. So about 2 years ago, and maybe you guys have heard about this in the news, but 2 years ago we tore down the old shelter to build a new, beautiful, innovative campus that we kind of jokingly called the Mothership, because Christina, the CEO, kind of wanted to save a name for somebody to come in with $10 million and name it the whatever center. But that hasn't happened yet, so it's still called the Mothership. I wanted to come and share today about this beautiful new building and kind of talk about our services. while we were building the mothership, we moved our shelter above our drop-in center, which was downtown, and we actually just moved back about 5 weeks ago to this new location. So our vision is that all Colorado youth have safe housing, supportive relationships, and the opportunity for self-sufficiency and success. Our mission is to ignite the potential in youth to exit homelessness and create self-determined, fulfilled lives. So Urban Peak is the only agency in the Denver area offering a complete convergence of services for youth experiencing homelessness ages 12 through 24. So since we opened our new campus, it was just 15 to 24, but because we have this brand new program, we actually can offer services down to young people who are in crisis or immediate homelessness who are as young as 12 years old, which we haven't had a 12-year-old in our new building yet, thank God, but it is there if needed. So again, our new building, we have reimagined what it means to break the cycle of homelessness and transform the lives of young people that we serve. So our new building is the first youth-focused beds in the region for youth ages 21 through 24. So at our old building, our shelter was for 15 to 20-year-olds. Because we were serving youth under 18, we couldn't have anybody older than 20 in the same shelter space. However, at the drop-in center, we would work with youth all the way up to ages 24. So it was kind of hard to serve youth but not offer them shelter as well. So the drop-in center downtown historically provided just day services for 21 to 24-year-olds. Now with our new building, we can actually offer them shelter. So we're the only shelter that actually offers shelter for youth 21 to 24, other than the adult shelters, which typically young folks don't really feel safe staying at the adult shelters because they're so large. So now at the old building, we had 40 beds. Now we have over 130 beds. We have 6 flexible stay neighborhoods for young adults organized into affinity groups. So we have a neighborhood for pregnant and parenting youth. We have a neighborhood for youth in recovery, youth exiting foster care, youth with intellectual or developmental disabilities, and youth who are working, attending school, and our migrant youth, also called our newcomer youth. So currently we have opened up 2 neighborhoods. The best way to describe a neighborhood is sort of like a college dorm suite where you have one room with roommates and then you have shared bathroom and shared kitchen space. However, these are still technically shelters. It's still technically shelter space. I kind of call it like little practice apartments. So for youth, they'll come into our young adult shelter, and if they are working full-time, after a couple days or weeks, we'll get them up into the neighborhood. And once they're there for a little while, kind of learning those independent living skills, they'll be able to kind of move out into their own place a lot more successfully. So we have one of our neighborhoods that we've opened so far is for independent working youth full-time. They're working full-time. And then we also, at the end of last year, really the end of 2023, we saw a lot of migrant folks or newcomers coming into Denver, a lot of them being within our age range. At one point, our shelter was almost half full of folks that were our Spanish speakers. And so when we moved over here 5 weeks ago, we didn't want to just move into the shelter being full, because now we're offering shelter for 21 to 24-year-olds. So we opened up a neighborhood space so we could kind of thin out the shelter. And so we have a newcomer neighborhood for folks that are new to the country. And case management for them looks a little bit different in terms of our mission to help ignite the potential in young people to kind of exit homelessness. A lot of that revolves around getting vital documents, helping them get a job, finding their own place. Well, for a lot of these folks, they can't just get an ID and get a job like that. So we work with a lot of the other service providers around town in terms of helping them be successful with their current situation. So we also offer mental health services, and we have an on-site medical clinic. Case management is a huge part about Urban Peak. Like, we don't just provide shelter for youth, we provide that case management so we can help address their employment and education goals, or if they're having mental health things, we can help connect them to resources and then help them kind of move along and become independent and self-sufficient. We also have a well-being center, which is on our 4th floor. So we also offer education, employment. We have an art studio, a music lab, and a technology lab. And we have these beautiful outdoor spaces, such as a courtyard, basketball court on the ground floor, and 2 terraces on the upper floors. So I don't know if you guys have seen this building when you drive by on South Broadway. It's actually a 4-story building. And so to kind of talk more about our program, the first floor of this new building is our shelter space. So we have our young adult shelter, low barrier emergency shelter for 18 to 24-year-olds. Again, for the first time in Urban Peak's history, we can now actually shelter 21 to 24-year-olds. Before that, we just kind of were offering day services and trying to help them access other resources and find housing. We also now, for the first time, have a shelter specifically just for youth under 18, which have their own sort of needs. So for youth under 18, it's a 21-day program. Essentially what we're trying to do is figure out, why is there a young person under 18 on the streets? Why did they run away? Or why did they get kicked out? Or sometimes their entire family is homeless. So in those 21 days, we're trying to figure out what's going on at home. A lot of times it could be conflict resolution. It could be talking with parents about their kind of concerns about, we run into a lot of situations where parents are like, it's my house, my rules. If you don't follow my rules, you're out, and they kick them out. But if the kid's only 16, what are they supposed to do? So we really try to help connect the parents to resources to where we can help them kind of figure out a way for them to coexist until that youth is 18. So finally, we have a space just for youth under 18, and we really focus on education. One big statistic that always stands out to me is folks that don't have a high school diploma or a GED are like 110% or more likely to be chronically homeless as adults. So the reason I like to work with young people and do the work that I do is to really try to help catch them upstream and help kind of prevent them from becoming chronically homeless as adults. So these young folks are really the most vulnerable and the most precious in terms of trying to help connect them to school and resources while they're young. Our Wellbeing Center, like I mentioned, we have employment and education services, we have social emotional support, medical services, and case management for the whole gamut of youth that we serve. We also have an outreach program and housing program. So outreach is our team that goes out and tries to find young people where they're at on the street, offer resources, build those connections and relationships, and then try to get them down to Urban Peak. They also do a lot of presentations, and they go to schools, community centers, libraries, rec centers, big presentations, and just help spread the word in the community about Urban Peak. So if you're ever out in the community, or if you're working in an agency and you run into a young person who's experiencing homelessness, you know to call Urban Peak, because we're the folks to call for any folks 24 and under that need those services. So as I was saying, the first floor we have a young adult shelter for 18 to 24-year-olds. We have 32 beds for those youth. We have a minor shelter. Right now we only have around 6 youth who are under 18, and they're all going to school right now, which is the first time I've said that, I think in my 10 years, because again, like I said before, previously it was 15 to 20-year-olds, and kind of the minors got lost in the shuffle, and it was hard for us to really make sure they were going to school every day. Plus, a lot of our youth go to school in Aurora, Adams County, Jefferson County, so getting to school every day and back can be challenging as well. The neighborhood, the affinity groups that I was telling you about, those are the second and third floor, and each little neighborhood has around 18 beds or 16 beds, depending on how big they are. And then the Wellbeing Center is the fourth floor, and that's where we provide all the supportive services throughout the day in terms of education and employment. So I've already kind of talked a lot about the Wellbeing Center. Again, the big thing about the mothership is it's all inclusive. We have everything that a youth needs inside the building. So they are encouraged to stay on property and hang out and access all of our services throughout the day. We can meet their education and employment goals, mental health services, and then we have this beautiful outdoor space for them with a basketball court, and it's really nice, and we really just kind of want them to hang out with us during the day. So this is a rendition of what the building looks like. It actually looks like this in real life, which is amazing. It's just such beautiful architecture. It's not just like a square kind of building. It's very much so designed to be kind of out of the box and youth friendly. Another big part about the mothership, we work with Shopworks, this amazing architect firm, and they really have brought in this idea of trauma-informed design principles. So throughout the building, youth feel safe, supported, and housed so that they can focus on working towards self-sufficiency and independence. And like I said, we have increased our capacity from 40 beds to 136. Currently, I will say that since I mentioned we only have open 2 neighborhoods, So we're currently at about like half capacity right now. We have about 60 to 70 youth staying with us right now. When we can expand up to 136 beds and open up those rest of those neighborhoods, we're hoping to get some more funding to do that in the future year of 2025. But again, in this trauma-informed design principle, we don't want it to feel like a residential treatment center, a psych hospital, or a group home or foster home that they may have grown up in. So it's very much natural lighting, big windows. We have beautiful wood throughout the building. And if you guys ever want to come and take a tour, I'm going to leave my cards and show you around because it's just the most beautiful space for young people to just really feel valued and kind of just helps them feel safe and calm while they're there as well. So these are, again, just some computer renditions. The top left is our minor dining room area, so it's a much smaller space for the minors because we only have about up to 10 youth staying there right now. The top right is our art studio, and the bottom is the commons dining area for our young adult shelter. And these little circles are like little reading nooks, and they can kind of just sit in here and read and just kind of like, just a really cool little space for youth to hang out. These are our 4th floor terraces. Up top is our 4th floor terrace. And I'm sorry, the bottom one is actually our ground level courtyard area. So you can see the basketball court, tables and patio furniture, just really amazing place for youth to just hang out during the day. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for letting me share about Urban Peak. We'd love to answer any questions. I think I'm almost out of time. I also have a bunch of my cards. Feel free to email me if you would like to come see the space. If you have any questions more about the work that we do, if you're curious about getting involved or volunteering, we have a beautiful new state-of-the-art kitchen if you guys want to come and help prepare a meal for the youth. Like I'm looking for maybe retired teachers that want to come help in our classroom and want to help youth kind of with their educational needs. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities as well. And any community concerns or issues that come up, feel free to reach out to me as well. So I'll leave this, and I think I saw a hand up. Yes?
I assume you're a nonprofit.
Yes.
I'm just curious where your funding comes from.
Yeah, great question. So Urban Peak and the place that I worked at in Nashville when I moved out there, all kind of started way back in the 80s when the Congress passed this Runaway and Homeless Youth Act, and it afforded these programs throughout the country to address runaway and homeless youth. It's actually coming up on 50 years since that bill has been passed. So this funding is basic center programs, which is shelter, transition living programs, maternity group homes, which we also have, as well as outreach. So that's a big part of our funding. We get funding from the city of Denver, has been very generous in terms of supporting us and our work as a shelter system.
How much is that?
It's close to $1 million, to be honest with you. They're very supportive of the work we do. That came around 2020 when the city of Denver acknowledged the fact that a lot of overnight shelters make people leave during the day, which if you don't have stable shelter and you're asked to leave during the day, you have to take all your stuff on your back and then you have really nowhere to hang out during the day. So the city invested a lot of money in terms of making shelter spaces 24/7 so that people could hire more staff to operate 24/7, and we were one of those folks. And then we do a lot of fundraising, donation, grants. It's quite complex as well. But yeah, good question. Sorry, in the back.
Yeah, thanks. How many youth aged up to 21, let's say, are typically unhoused on an average? Like tonight, how many youth in Denver are unhoused?
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember the last statistic is somewhere close to 500.
So you're maybe getting up to 130 at some point, but you've got a long way to go.
Yeah, and if you look at DPS, Denver Public Schools, their definition of homelessness is their parents aren't on the lease, so they might be doubled up or staying in a family or a friend's house, and at any minute they could be asked to leave, and that family's homeless. And so if you ask DPS, there's thousands of kids in DPS schools that are homeless because their parents don't, own their own house, and they could be asked to leave at any minute. Good question. Yes.
How many people staff this, and how many people staff this at night?
Yeah, great question. So we have about 60 staff that work throughout all of our programs. Right now we have, with just the 2 neighborhoods and the 2 shelter spaces open, we have 4 overnights that are there 24/7 at night. I'm sorry, not 24/7, but during the overnight hours from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And during the day, in the shelter spaces, we usually have three staff working per shelter space, and then we have a bunch of supportive staff as well. So One really great thing about Urban Peak is we try to keep low ratio numbers in terms of like one staff for 10 to 20 youth, so they can get that individual need and really have our full attention, as opposed to like other shelters. It's like one for every 200, which is it's very outnumbered. Yes.
What I was wondering, I value helping the youth, and that, my hat's off to you. You seem really a part of it. Security really affects their comfort level on learning and such, and I think that's probably been addressed, and I hope it satisfies a lot of your needs. I was also wondering the logistics, because you mentioned some of the kids in that's coming in, you brought them in. How many are U.S. citizens and how many are not?
Yeah, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but right now the migrant neighborhood, I think we have about 14 young people staying there. So it's kind of a smaller population than we have.
14 out of 100, so you say.
Yeah, 14 out of, probably like
14%.
70 right now, because we're only at like half capacity right now, so yeah, 14 out of like 70.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
There was a resource I worked in Amarillo, which they told me at the time that there were very few that did this, but they had a warehouse and they each would get like one tub. So they didn't have to lug their stuff around and they didn't have to worry about losing it.
Yeah.
So it gave them the freedom to kind of have a place. They picked up the mail. I think 2 days a week we did laundry, and you could, if you cleaned the building, you earned laundry points. But it was fabulous for them to have a place to kind of not worry.
Yeah.
Because have their stuff lost. So
Yeah.
does anybody ever have any idea to do? It kind of helps the other ones who can't have a place to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, so we also you may have heard drop-in center. So we also kind of run a drop-in center out of the shelter as well for folks that aren't able to stay. They can still come during the day and access storage and meals and things like that. And that is a big problem in the adult system is folks having access to storage. So I think that is just provide a lot of personal comfort and safety when you know you have a place to keep your things as well. But
Do you have anything like that?
yeah, Denver downtown does. Yeah, I think St. Francis Center, they have some day shelters where you can keep your stuff locked up during the day.
Not overnight.
Yeah, not overnight. Then they would have to go to the shelter.
That's why I think that was different.
Yeah.
These were, it was 30 days at a time.
Yep. Maybe one question, I want to respect your guys' time too. I don't want to take too many questions, but yeah, one more in the back.
Just what do you have going on downtown, that location? Is that-
Yeah, so we actually have sold that building now, yeah. So we're now fully over at our mothership building, which is great because the downtown area, there's a lot of adults still struggling down there in that neighborhood, and they have resources down there like the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless who do great work and can help support those folks. And it's kind of nice to kind of pull out of that area. And where we're at now is very centralized in terms of transportation. Just jump on South Broadway. The Zero bus comes every 15 minutes. You have the light rail station, so we're still very accessible for transportation. But I'm gonna leave my card. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's right here.
Thanks, Ben. We'll start off with the Officer of the Month, Officer Velez. The owner checked his vacant property for sale and found the back door broken and a report was taken. A couple hours later, the officer was dispatched to the area of 1600 block of South Jackson Street on a trespass complaint. While en route, he observed a suspect matching the description that was given to him over the radio. Officer Velez and an academy recruit officer contacted the suspect. Upon detaining him, a pat-down search revealed a stolen 9mm handgun with a loaded magazine. So he was arrested for the illegal weapon. Just a reminder that there is no such thing as a routine police call, and the officers did a great job on this. For anybody who's new to the meetings, here's a breakdown of District 3, 2 sectors, Sector 1, Sector 2. Sector 1 is led by Lieutenant David Timmerman. Your CROs are Technician Kate Young and Manuel Fuentes. And Sector 2 is Lieutenant Julie Wheaton and technician AJ Pacheco, and CRO is Matt Grinsley. It's divided by Colorado Boulevard mostly. Just go over the district statistics, and then I'll have the lieutenants talk about their sectors. So our person crimes were a little bit up, 7%. When I look at these, a lot of them, and you hear me talk about this all the time, a lot of them are road rage. I always caution everybody to slow down, check your temper. If you do find yourself in that kind of situation, take an exit that you're not planning on. Just remove yourself from that environment. Also, domestic violence. Domestic violence is a really hard crime for law enforcement to address and battle because it's behind closed doors, it's talked about in whispers. So I'm always asking for the public's help in addressing those crimes. And it just happens to be October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Our total crime for the district is, we're doing good, 19%. Back to the property crime, we're down 28%. Still a lot of unlocked vehicles and unlocked doors and open garages. So we could really do a little bit better of making sure our property is secure. As I said, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Some numbers to take away from there. There were more than 3,600 domestic violence cases assigned to the Denver Police Domestic Violence Unit in 2023. A huge number, right? But my biggest concern is the number we don't know about, that people haven't reported it. So I ask all my community members, help us. If you know someone in environment that's not safe, help them reach out and let us know.
Do you happen to know statistics on male victims?
I don't have it broken down between male and female. Predominantly, through my experience, it is female victims, but there are male victims as well.
Because I used to be a domestic violence counselor, and I had 3 in my groups that were already charged then.
And over your career as a counselor, did you see a lot of male victims, or what did you see?
There's probably one that will always stick with me, where he didn't trust telling us the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 36, at the time we had 36 weeks of counseling. And the week before he graduated, he pulled up in his shirt and he showed us all the cigarette burns and all the other stuff. And the pictures of spaghetti hanging from the ceiling and grapes. But I also had a female who would scare the crap out of me. She took us some downspout and hit him over the head, and he's kind of lucky to be alive. So I had 3 that were very violent females.
Yeah, the violence is not gender specific. Male victims are out there as much as, not as much, but there are male victims and female victims. So, when we address this, we ask for, the help for all of our community members. I'm going to turn it over to Dave to talk about Sector 1.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I don't think I see too many new faces here tonight, so I'll probably go over things a little quickly. As the Commander said, our dividing line is pretty much Colorado Boulevard around here, and it goes west to the river. North side is pretty much 6th Avenue, and then the southern border of the district. That's what I'm responsible for. As for the numbers, if you were here last month, which I think the majority of you were, I did a big explanation about them. They really didn't change that much. We're kind of holding steady. It's only been 3 weeks, so it hasn't changed a ton. But we're looking good overall. So there's that. Person crimes. Quick explanation. Person crimes are when a person's the victim, somebody assaulted me, somebody robbed me, that sort of thing. Property crimes, same thing, except for property, right? Someone broke into my home, stole my car, broke my window, spray painted my fence. Those kind of things are what these crimes here are. Historically, this is what has always been the biggest problem down here in this sector, in this, well, the whole district. So we've done a lot of work trying to reduce that over the last couple of years. Public is a hard number to really look into because a lot of it is proactive work by the officers, but then a lot of it is also just calls for service where a person specifically isn't necessarily the victim, but a crime has been committed. And then we have total crime down here, which shows that it's down. So this month, the biggest number of questions I received, well, first off, the commander mentioned it, the road rage continues to be a big problem in this area of the city. Please listen to what he was saying. I won't keep badgering into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about it again next month. Please be safe out there. And then as well as continuing to lock stuff, just like the commander said. But as I started saying, the biggest question I got over the last few weeks were questions about Broadway. What's going on Broadway? About 2 weeks ago, I was getting a lot of questions. Why does there seem to be a lot more people on Broadway, a lot more unhoused individuals, a lot more tents, a lot more things like that? So the mayor's office identified the area around Broadway and Alameda as an area where there was an uptick in unhoused individuals, mainly because they were being pushed out of other areas of the city. So it was dubbed by downtown to be a resolution zone. What that meant is the mayor's office was going to bring a lot of different resources into the area. I won't even try and say all the different entities because I forget there's a set team, host, all these different city entities. So they bring them in, they try to give different resources to these individuals, and the main idea is to try and house as many of them as we can. So they'll identify individuals that are eligible for housing. And then the reason why we don't come in is because we don't want to scare people away. We want people to get those services. And once they're identified as people who are going to get housing, we don't want to push them out of the area and then all of a sudden we can't find them and then they're unable to get that housing. So we kind of let those other teams do their work. I'm not positive of the final number. I think the final number was around 30 individuals they were able to find housing for. And then over the weekend is when the time frame for them kind of doing that ended, and now we're supposed to go back out there. We haven't really changed our approach for what's going on in the area. Those individuals that are out there, they're still people that need help. So our homeless outreach team continues to do our outreach efforts in the area. Maybe we can go out there and arrest them, but it's just an endless cycle of in and out of jail. So we're still continuing to try and get resources out there to those individuals. A lot of the enforcement you'll see are by some of our other teams, such as our ACT team, which is our anti-crime team. And their mission from me is to try and target the drug dealers that are in those areas. When you have a large population of unhoused individuals, a lot of them deal with mental health crises or addiction, and then you have these dealers that come into the area and victimize them and try and get them more addicted, sell them their drugs, do all that. So those are the people we're targeting right now. The last couple of days has actually been pretty good down there, pretty quiet. I know the team was out there and they did arrest a few individuals earlier, but I haven't had a chance to talk to them yet, so I don't have exact numbers. So I will, as usual, take some questions, but we tend to go over on time because I tend to take too many questions, so we'll try and keep them somewhat limited. Regan, go ahead.
What were the 3 arrests today for?
As I said, I'm not positive because I haven't had a chance to talk to the team, but they were going out there specifically to target drug dealers, so I would assume that's what it is, but I don't know for sure at this time.
But you know there were arrests. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I knew there were a couple arrests, yeah. I heard it on the radio.
But you don't know what for. Mhm.
So I'm curious, because the city isn't able to house people that quickly, do you mean they were put in shelter, or they were actually
No.
put in housing?
They go to
I would
jail.
imagine some kind of temporary shelter. However, we try and stay out of that. You know, the population we're talking about, I'm sure you know, Amy, they don't necessarily want us involved in that situation. So we try and let people that they're comfortable with take care of that. And honestly, we don't keep track of where they go because we don't want people to think we're targeting them.
Well, you said they housed them. I just want to clarify, they didn't house them.
Okay. They're in some kind of shelter. I'm sorry, I'm not sure exactly what kind, but I would imagine temporary shelter while they try and work towards permanent housing at some point. That's my understanding of it. No other questions tonight? All right,
All right.
pass it on to Senator.
Sector 2, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Julie Wheaton, and I cover Sector 2, as you know. There's our neighborhoods. So we'll talk about a couple things on here real quick. Obviously, the person's crime in 321 and 322 is consistent. You know, looking at those numbers, even year to date, this is the 3-year average. Simple assaults, a lot of domestic violence, and a lot of known between family members, not necessarily an intimate relationship, but can be aunts, uncles, mothers, and grown children, that kind of stuff. But, you know, the 3-year average, we're heading in the right direction. I mean, we're down there. Property crimes continue to be consistently dropping, although looking at the last 28 days today when we met with the commander and looked at the last month, in 322, I had a huge uptick, I mean, it went from like 18 to 33 in 322's area for stolen cars. Looking at the 33 incidents, there were actually 7 of those were attempt steals, so they weren't successful. 8 had keys in them, and 1 was a puffer. So, you know, there's some work there to be done. Don't leave your fobs or your keys in your car. Makes it an easy target. The last thing I wanted to highlight was looking at, you know, as Dave said before, under the public totals, you'll see in 322's area, the 17% increase in some proactive work. We did an operation encompassing these last couple months where we targeted stolen cars, guns, and drugs, and that operation netted a couple dozen arrests, bunch of dope, gun, couple stolen cars, exactly what we thought we would find. The other thing that I'm actively working on is road rage stuff. I did an interview with Channel 9 last week, and literally on the way to the interview at headquarters at I-25 in Alameda, somebody came over and literally almost ran me off the road. So it was a little ironic, right? But we did a target operation, and we have another one set up for next week on my team. So our first operation on road rage, we were out there, 4 cops and a sergeant, Alameda corridor that encompasses District 3. So that's like, you know, Alameda and the river, Santa Fe, all the way to Alameda and the Aurora border. And we just targeted that corridor because the stats show that that's where a lot of our road rage is occurring. So we did 10 p.m. to about 2 a.m. last op, and then next week we're gonna target kind of a 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Time frame. We're not just citing, we're doing education piece, talking, you know, to people about safe driving and how we've had some really tragic results in the last few weeks right in this district. We had a fatal car accident, and then we also had a shooting that resulted in a homicide, all as a result of road rage. So those are the couple things I wanted to share. If I have a few Bible Park friends here, I want to let you know we were here 3 weeks ago talking about that. I ran the CAD today. I'm not as good as Regina, our analyst, but I can do some research. We've had 2 calls for service in the 3 weeks at Bible Park. One was an abandoned stolen car that was on the street. It wasn't in the park, but it tagged, you know, Bible Park. And then we had 1 loud noise disturbance about 12:30 in the morning. Complainant did not want contact, which was fine. The officers went out there and contacted 1 party and left. So we continue to work on it. Commander is talking with Parks and Recs, and they're discussing a gate. I think that would be, it could potentially be somewhat helpful, but I suspect, you know, it's getting colder each day, and this is frequently a seasonal problem. And so I'm not surprised to see the drops in service, and I'll expect to see them continue to drop as the weather gets colder, it gets dark at 5 o'clock in the evening. So, yes, ma'am.
Somebody had told me that they're closing Bible Park now at night, is that true?
No. Well, I mean, it is closed, 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., like all park hours,
Right.
but there's no gate. There's no gate to close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so officially, yeah, it's closed as all city parks are. Who else? Anybody else have a question? All right.
Well,
Yeah.
can I ask questions about the traffic speeding on Alameda,
Sure.
southeast. I have called in, I have been behind drag racers twice in the last month,
Mhm.
coming down Alameda, starting this last week from Holly, all the way into Aurora. And these people know there's no police presence on that Alameda, from Colorado Boulevard to, what's the street, Dayton, where Aurora starts. And it's unbelievable at night, the amount of drag racing with the motorcycles. But I was behind 3 cars drag racing, and I'm on the phone with 911. We get up to Holly, they stop. We get up to Quebec, they stop. We get up to, from Quebec to
Right.
Fairmont, there's a speed sign. And I told her they're going 75 miles an hour. And she says to me, well, are you going that fast? No. No, I'm not. But I said, but then she said, well, how do you know? And I said, because it's registered on this thing. And I'm telling you, every night.
This
And
is
they
why
know.
I'm targeting Alameda. Yeah, they do, but you know, I will tell you, the last meeting we had, I reached out to traffic, and they've actually done a couple ops down here. I've seen them on the CAD, motorcycle guys have come down here and sat on some of those intersections, and that's what they're doing. That goes hand in hand with the road rage stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why we're targeting Alameda, that you proved exactly my point. But just know, somebody called actually to complain to me about the cycle of lights. And when I explained to them, the lights are cycled for them to have to stop, to cut down on that drag race effect, where they could go from Colorado to Havana without having to stop. So I know it's annoying when they race to the other light, and obviously we're gonna target that, but it's actually a good thing that they have to stop.
Yeah.
And you know, because they can only get so fast, although you've shown 75 miles an hour is too fast. And I will just say, the dispatchers have a long list of required questions, and I know because I've been off duty on 911, where I had a guy on the highway, and by the time I got by, he was standing there, and she's asking me for a description, and what's he doing now? And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know they have to ask certain questions. So I know sometimes it can be frustrating, but thank you for sharing it, and know we know, and we're working on it. Yes, Bob?
What I was wondering, not every intersection shows the MO of motorcycles, but I think we can go through and spot which ones are the key ones. You got donuts made on these specific ones, there's not a lot. I was wondering if you had considered having some spotters out there at night, because those are the ones that they're
Every
spinning
week,
around,
yeah.
but they're not everywhere. But it sure shows you, here's the intersection,
Yes.
they do it all the time here.
Every week for years, we have been doing a street racing off. There's a lieutenant in District 4, a sergeant, and 6 officers that do just that. And they move around the city and address it
And it
every
really tells you where
week.
they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yes, ma'am, and then I'll.
Have you thought about having civilian volunteers be spotters for you?
You know, there's no, but I will tell, and I'll just be brief about this stuff. You know, it can go from when something appears harmless and that you can't get hurt to a very serious situation. So we are not gonna put our citizens in that spot. But I will tell you this, we do have them in Halo, so using video technology, we have Flock, we have other technology that can help us, that we utilize. And when we do our ops, we do have officers in unmarked vehicles to act as spotters, and then the marked units go make the stop with people. And so it just, it could go very bad very quickly, and so that's that. All right,
Thank you.
thanks, guys. Yep.
Thank you, Julie. Chrissy, can you come up here and let us all know what's coming up, please?
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Christine, and I'm the Community Engagement Program Manager here at District 3. So we have a couple fun events coming up. One is actually this Saturday. We have Hero Fest. It's to honor all things first responders. So in addition to our officers, we'll have multiple safety agencies there, including 911, sheriff, and also outside jurisdictions, as well as multiple paramedic units, and our firefighters as well. So if you have some kids that want to see some cool vehicles, and even there's going to be a Flight for Life helicopter there, it's a great opportunity to get to talk to first responders and also have some fun while you're doing it. So we hope you can join us. We also have our neighborhood watch training coming up, and that is on October 10th. If anyone would like more information about that, please let me know. And next slide.
Oh, sorry.
We have our Halloween carnival coming up, so as you know, a fantastic event. And we'll have more details coming about the event soon as well. And then I know Commander touched on it tonight, but if we can ask you all a big favor, if you work for a company or a business that has like a lunchroom or a break room, we have our domestic violence resource flyers out there for confidential ways people can reach out and get support, not only for the victims, but also for the offenders. And so all of these are non-police related, so they can reach out. Of course, our information is on here if they want to reach out, but there are so many options in Denver. So if you're willing to post this in a commons area, maybe at your work, or if you're part of a community group and they have a commons area, we'd really appreciate the help. And all the flyers are out there on the table. And our coffee, sorry. This morning, our coffee with the cop. We have so much stuff going on. Once a month, on the first Wednesday of every month, we have our coffee with the cop at Nixon's Coffee House.
Incredible. Thank you, Kristen. So our coming CAT meetings, our next one will be November 6th. And then, I don't know if you were here for this September 11th, I took a poll on whether we should have that December 4th one, and it was overwhelming, people wanted it. So we'll go ahead forward with the December 4th. And I think this is the first time we've actually ended on time. So. Sure.
Dumb question.
There's no dumb question.
A lot of us, I think, drive around a lot. I drive around a lot. Every now and then you come across an intersection where the traffic light might be flashing. Red one way, yellow the other way. If I remember from when I was 16 years old, you're supposed to treat that as a four-way stop. But my question is, who do you call? Because I tried 311. 311 was down. I called District 3, because I know you guys here. Whoever was on duty was busy, and so I don't want to drive you down. So I don't know who to call. Is it CDOT?
You call the non-emergency. I was just driving, I went to a community event Saturday, and the light at Cherokee and Alameda, there was no light. And you're right, I think people have forgotten the test questions when they got their license, because there was absolutely no light, no red, no yellow. And in that situation, you're supposed to stop and take turns, you know. On your scenario, the red needs to stop and wait for the yellow, and then and just take turns on each side of that. But to your point, to who to report it to is the non-emergency line. I cheated. I used my radio. Well, thank you. I really appreciate everybody coming out.
Well, there you have it. I just live stream this on YouTube because it's a public meeting. Yeah. Just, they don't broadcast the meetings. So
Yeah, I know.
it's a public meeting. It really should be available, whether it be a recording afterwards, maybe. But I don't know. Maybe Commander Bell should make that happen.
Yeah.
Because the city can make it happen.
Yeah. I just was curious.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you're like an independent reporter or something.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Independent journalist.
Okay.
Yeah. Just do it on YouTube and
Yeah. YouTube channel?
It's my name, Regan Benson.
Regan Benson.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, of
Is that
course.
R-E-G-A-N?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
You're very welcome. All right. Are we ready to go? Now I'm reading the room. I'm taking an inventory of cops. But it's time to go. Because I don't have a lot of time in there. So, let's head on out here. So this is the public lobby of the public building of the taxpayer-supported Denver Police Department. Just FYI, in case you were curious. You've seen this place before. But in case you want to get a good look of it, there you go. Remember that one time that one thug came out of there and arrested me? Oh, we're just reminiscing. Yeah, isn't that funny? People's desire to want to understand what I'm doing. I think we're good. I just went off Wi-Fi, so hopefully we'll stay here. No, recording this meeting. And it looks like, she might be broadcasting it to the world. Is that allowed? I thought we were in a private meeting here. I'm shocked. See, it's just really simple. Now, as soon as all these people figure out who I am, and they go to my YouTube channel, we'll have to come back to next month's meeting. I mean, that's just a couple today. I mean, as time goes on and they all start talking to each other, those two women, they're going to be calling all their friends and they're going to go, oh, you know that woman that was sitting in the front row? Yeah, well, she, and she's not voting for Trump. Oh, so she must be voting for Harris. So she's probably okay. Oh, shit. We just found out she doesn't want anybody for president. Oh, and she seems to have a problem with the cops. Let's see how unfriendly they become as time goes on, shall we? So, I don't have a lot of time, you guys, but I wanted to come to this meeting. I wanted to live stream this. I've been so buried. So we have some connections in Florida, and so the hurricane and all of that has kind of uprooted our lives a little bit, but we're starting to get a handle on it all, and but I've got a very busy schedule. And on top of all that, for those of you that follow my channel and know the Inglewood story, good. For those of you that don't, I'll have to catch up with you later. But you guys, they're seriously going to continue to try to ban me from the library. I love it. I love it. I love being this like unsuspecting bimbo She's so stupid. We're gonna get her. We're gonna show her. I love it. And not only that, they're making legal complaints to YouTube for privacy complaints. Legal complaints. I want you to think about that. Okay? So some videos have come down. And trust me, they're going back up. But because I'm not married to YouTube, I really don't care about all that stuff, for those of you that know me or at least know enough about me. But those videos, they're going to go back up. But imagine, if you will, like somebody sending a subpoena to Google for these legal complaints. And YouTube makes legal statement that they do not take privacy complaints from third parties unless that third party is an attorney. Okay? So imagine, if you will, a whole bunch of public employees who've been outed literally for their crimes, now turning to YouTube to try to shut me down and doubling down to exclude me from the library. It's kind of entertaining, I gotta tell you, right? And then I got another piece of very interesting evidence today from my attorney. By the way, attorney, I have never had kind of bulldog attorney ever, and she is absolutely amazing. And I'm not going to tell you who she is because people are going to harass her. You know, they're going to call flutter. But she's damn good. She is damn good. And I got a document today that was supposed to be in my discovery before they dismissed my case. And it was a statement from a librarian. There was some really, really entertaining and funny stuff in there, but then there wasn't. And I am outrageously pissed off about this one. That bitch had the nerve to put into writing that I needed to be investigated for my racist behavior. Yep. So, with that said, you know, there's a few things that spark me. That was one of them. And bitch, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not going away. So, Inglewood, you might want to do some damage control, because I've been giving you plenty of opportunities to do that, and you still can't take note. So that's that. Yeah. And the fact that, you know, they think this is all fun and games, you know. Well, it is all fun and games until somebody goes to jail illegally because of you and your lies. Cops and librarians in Inglewood. Yeah, you blew it. You blew it big time. I told you guys this was coming. So patience is a virtue, yes. And so all these things are coming to fruition. That criminal case of harassment for exercising my First Amendment right to be able to film that security guard in the Inglewood Civic Center case has been dismissed because the DA could not prove his case, and he was not going to put that cop up on the stand so she could continue to incriminate herself and have to be Brady listed. So all kinds of things at play here. Lots and lots of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. Lots of game playing by the DA for 6 months straight until I brought in my attorney. I gave him an opportunity. Met with him several times. I said, dude, you better drop these charges. Nope, not gonna do it, Miss Benson. I'm gonna give you a plea deal. I said, ain't gonna happen, dude. Okay, well, I didn't think it was. I said, so at this rate, you really want to go to trial, huh? Well, I've been embarrassed before. Like, for instance, I went out on this date the other night and I tripped and fell. I mean, I don't know if this guy really thought that he was going to relate to me in a way that I was going to go, oh my God, you're so cute. Okay, I'll plead guilty. I'll take a plea deal. I mean, this shit was mind-boggling for 6 months of wasting my time and my life. And that's funny. That's funny to people, right? And it's funny to taxpayers. I mean, you heard what's going on in this city. We have drive-by shootings on the regular, several times daily here in the metro area. Yeah, Inglewood, Denver, everywhere, Cherry Hills, everywhere beautiful and plush and rich and fancy. And these effing people are sucking up resources to go after a woman and a camera because some librarians got their feelings hurt. True story. That's what this is all about. And that victim, the poor security guard, guess what, you guys? They never had a victim. That dude got thrown under the bus. He got used as the victim. And let that sink in as well. They had no victim. They had one call to dispatch over at Inglewood from this guy. And he called because he was told to do it. We haven't nailed down with the proof who told him to do it, but it was Allied. It was his own company that told him that he needed to call and report this. And so he did, but he never followed through. So now, not only do I know the guy's name, I have the right to face my accuser, so I have everything under the sun about this guy, because it was in my discovery. Right. I know his name, date of birth, his entire criminal history, everywhere he's lived, where he lives now. I know all of this because I have a right to know that. I have a right to face my accuser. And I guess those librarians that wanted to really help him out, I guess they didn't understand due process either in the United States of America. As librarians, highly educated librarians in speech, right, and freedom. And ironically, it was just Banned Book Week. Yeah. And Inglewood is just really doing a big push about your right to read books. Oh, you can read their books, but you just can't talk. And you can't exercise freedom. Poor Bethany. Poor Bethany. She said some really stupid things to that cop. And we're going to put that body cam footage back up. All right, enough ranting. All right, Irish, thank you very much for being in here. Deb, love you as always in your commentary. I do. Auditors, Jack Off, Note, good to see you. Lucky Laptop News. Have I seen you before? I don't think I have. Sir Adam Skanowski. Hi. Fiction, The Other Dimension. Frank Pants, as always. Appreciate you. Excalibur. All right, well, let's just head to the car and make sure I get out of here alive, and I gotta get on with my night. See you guys. And no Brian O'Neill at these meetings, so that's good. Life will also be better When he gets you can. I will hug Slabby DR Broden. Fall is here. I love October too. All right, you guys. Just double checking. Take care. See you next time.